Do you guys remember Halo Infinite? In 2021, Halo Infinite was supposed to bring Halo back. It had the hype, it had the gameplay, it had nostalgia, it had everything. But just a few months after it released, the player base disappeared. So what happened to Halo Infinite? This is the story of how Halo Infinite went from one of the most played games of 2021 to a game no one thinks about in 2025. When Halo Infinite first came out, there were so many things that people were really ready to play. People were seriously hyped for this game. The pacing of the combat was great. It was almost like old Halos where you'd have more floaty movement and the guns felt very similar to the old guns that we liked. The campaign was coming back in the old way where they have, classic linear missions, but they also were introducing an open world campaign. A lot of people were excited for that. Not to mention, if you just wanted to play multiplayer online, that was completely free. You didn't even have to pay anything. And like usual, when a Halo game comes out, people are remembering their childhoods. Their expectations were kind of in the moon for this game, and honestly, in some ways, it definitely delivered. If you guys remember, in 2021, almost every streamer was playing this game. Even if you didn't like Halo, you kind of couldn't get away from it, and it almost felt like Halo was taking over. There were things people were a little concerned about, like the Battle Pass. It was not really traditional that a game like Halo would have a Battle Pass, but it was free multiplayer online, so I guess people kind of accepted it. We'll get more into that later. Not to mention, people were kind of angry that they didn't have Forge or co-op campaign, something that for a lot of people was a deal breaker in the end. And personally, I played a lot of the multiplayer online, and I'm gonna say it was a lot of fun. Personally, I thought Halo played incredibly. I had a lot of fun with the guns. It felt a lot like old Halo again for me, even though all I did was play free multiplayer online. I didn't touch the campaign at all, and based on what people told me, I was pretty lucky that I didn't. So why did people stop playing Halo altogether? Number one on the list probably has to do with the classic. They just didn't have any content. If you played multiplayer online, you noticed that you were kind of playing the same couple maps over and over and over. Halo Infinite just did not have many maps for people to play. And 343 definitely let people know that, they're having some trouble with their studio and they weren't able to release stuff as quickly as they wanted, but truthfully, people playing the game, they don't really care. And it sucks to say, but the community is not gonna really take, hey, we don't have content for you, so just hang in there as an excuse. Season 2 of the game didn't even come out for a couple months, and by then people were kind of getting bored already. It basically left everyone feeling like they had already played out the content that Halo had to offer, so they just slowly started to trickle out. 2021 was the year of Battle Royales, so people had options. Number 2 on the list is probably the Battle Pass, and the fact that you had to grind that thing way too much. I think Halo Infinite was a really good example of what not to do with your Battle Pass. They made you use specific weapons to get kills. The XP rates were just really low, so you had to grind forever. On top of it being pretty slow, you didn't really get much XP for playing the matches, so you're stuck in a hell where you just have to sit there and do their specific challenges for your battle pass, and you just can't play the game normally if you want to get the battle pass done. Combine this with the fact that they were not releasing features for the game and seasons weren't coming out quickly, people get really salty when you try to monetize on a game that's kind of missing parts already. If this game was perfect, I don't think anyone would have said a single thing about how the Battle Pass was working. I think you would have had people too busy playing your game because it was good. Number 3, missing features. If you're pushing 30 or 40 like me, you remember a time where you were playing in the basement with your friends, you're playing Halo, whether it was campaign or it was split screen, and you had the time of your life. Some would say those were the best days. But unfortunately, Halo Infinite could not deliver that. The campaign just didn't have co-op. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know how that went over their heads of, if you're a Halo player, co-op campaign was a big part of your life. Whether you've just tried it with your friends, tried it on Legendary and failed. This is the number one thing Halo players like to do. Maybe next to multiplayer. There was just no reason for them to not have this in the game, and that threw a lot of players off once they realized it didn't have that. I know I just started with the multiplayer and I didn't really realize the campaign was missing things. I planned to go to do the campaign later, but the fact that it didn't have co-op and Forge was missing, it just threw me off. And not only that, 343 was promising that they were gonna release it, but they just kept delaying it. It took them like a year in November of 2022 where they finally included campaign co-op. And split screen, forget about it. They scrapped that completely. So yeah, people who played campaign were not happy with Halo Infinite. And then we get to Forge. Forge is basically your map editor, creative mode. So, you know, the possibilities were endless of what you would do with Forge. A lot of people were just making their own game modes, whether it's zombies or whatever it is. But this was all in the past because Halo Infinite did not have Forge. They didn't add that until November of 2022 as well. I think if they had Forge at launch, this would have been a totally different launch for them, and people would have had a lot more replayability with this game. They could have probably delayed the seasons even more, and people would have kept playing because of Forge. The power of the community should never be underestimated. Number 4 is kind of a quick one, but you know, their update cadence was so slow, and they always had communication problems. We had gaps between the seasons, we had delayed content drops. Half the time they would release a roadmap and then just not follow it at all. It would be super delayed. And after a while, the community just gives up on you. It reminds me a lot of what happened to New World. Well, I won't get into that in this video, but comment below if you played New World, and that game just had so much potential. And number 5 on the list is competition from other games. 2021 was definitely the year of Fortnite, Apex, Warzone, and these games were actually updating pretty often. I think Fortnite does it the best. Whether you like Fortnite or not, they handle their content updates really well. There's really not periods of time where people are like, oh, nothing's happening in Fortnite. There's always something happening in Fortnite. And the problem with Halo being a live service game now is that people were expecting updates like Fortnite. They were expecting free cosmetics. They were expecting Twitch drops, and they just didn't have everything they needed. Halo basically got outplayed by the other studios, and at the end of the day, that is not really anyone's fault but the studio. The blueprint of how to be successful in making a live service game is there. Like, just copy Fortnite. It's really not that hard. Number 6, the perception of the game and the media. At some point, all the negativity piles up into a critical mass. I think the popular narrative for Halo was that it has great gameplay, but everything else surrounding it is terrible. No content, bad monetization, bad support, missing features. And unfortunately, when people see article after article of the shortcomings of Halo, and there were many, it kind of becomes a hole you can't crawl out of quickly. And once people decide you're a dead game, you're kind of a dead game until something ridiculous changes. So did they have any ridiculous changes? The answer is probably, in my opinion, yes. Number 1, progression overhaul, battle pass improvements. 343 basically listened to everyone complaining about the battle pass XP, and they changed it. Not only did they finally adjust the XP slider on the battle pass, it's a lot easier to get through it, they actually have an entirely different free battle pass. So they have one battle pass for free players, and then if you want to buy the premium one, you can. I actually like this a lot more than most companies with the like mixed battle pass, where some of the things you get on it are for free people and some of them are premium. The fact that it's completely separate just actually makes me feel like every company should do it like that. They gave way more XP boosts during it as well. So if you're in match, there's like in-match XP boost for the battle pass. The rewards went from just being weapon skins to weapon skins and armor skins and all this other stuff. I think this change alone, you know, it won't save the game, but it definitely helped people trust the company again, that, you know, we're not getting fleeced for money. It's not just a monetization play, even though we all know, yes, they are a company, they're here to make money. There's different ways you can go about that without losing your entire community. Number 2, and probably more important than a battle pass, is that they released Forge finally. And I don't think it had everything that Forge used to have. Forge coming out made it like old Halo again. People were making community events, tournaments. They even had remakes of old modes like Invasion, if you ever played that. And if you've ever been a Forge player, once you start playing Forge, it's kind of hard to play other things. Forge is truly at the heart of Halo for a lot of people. They also updated Forge over time, adding things like scripting nodes, custom logic, assets, object scaling, effects, event triggers, and voice line integration. Number 3 is the co-op campaign. Split screen was still canceled, but co-op was released and people had a lot of fun. You can finally play with your friends. In Halo campaign, what a surprising world. Number 4 is that they actually added seasonal content and seasonal events. It seems like they added more maps, more events at a faster pace. Even though a lot of people still felt like it was slow, it was way better than it was before. And I know I mentioned Invasion before, but they have actually added Halo Reach's Invasion mode to Halo Infinite with their Warpath update September 2025, so they're still updating it to this day. They also have a ranked legacy playlist now, which lets you play Halo without all the new modern mechanics like sprinting and motion tracking for a more original Halo experience. And I'm not sure who this matters to, but number 5, we have the studio and the structure changes. Basically, Bonnie Ross used to be the head of Halo, and now they've stepped down. 343 is now Halo Studios. So, I mean, it sounds great for Halo. Future Halo projects are going to be on Unreal Engine 5, so they're probably just going to run really well and look good. We love Unreal around here. So why do I think that after all this time and all these failures and the player base being what it is, that Halo Infinite is going to make a comeback? Well, number 1, I met a guy at a music festival and he said he was going to a Halo tournament in October of 2025. That alone confused me because I thought this game was dead. Number 2, when you look at the pace of which they are actually updating the game, it's getting better and they are actually making good improvements. A lot of studios do not do that. The studio that probably did it the best was No Man's Sky. If you know anything about No Man's Sky, they were pretty much textbook 0 to hero. Nobody liked their game on launch, and now people cannot stop praising it. Halo Infinite kind of has all the tools it needs. It has Forge, it has multiplayer online, it has co-op campaign. So they've basically released the game people wanted on launch. The studio's changed, they're going to use Unreal soon. I think they have all the tools necessary to kind of kick it into gear and make this thing work. I think one of the hardest things they're gonna have to compete with is literally just the competition. Games like Battlefield are coming out, Fortnite is still a behemoth and continues to release content pretty much every week. Some people are just not gonna forgive Halo Infinite again, so they might have to like rebrand or release a new game. You know, there is a chance that the studio focuses kind of weirdly on projects that don't make sense. Obviously, we won't know what that looks like until they release it, but I would hope their next project is something like a Halo Infinite 2, nothing too fancy, just what features people actually want from Halo. Now, I say things that people expect from Halo. I do think it needs to have modern quality of life things, stuff that Halo doesn't traditionally have. I think sprinting is a good example of that. People kind of expect to be able to sprint nowadays. So yeah, I think Halo has a real shot of coming back. Their gameplay is still good, and that's probably the most important thing of this entire video. They have a great brand, Forge is out, the studio's moving towards Unreal, and it seems like they're updating the game at a decent pace. But anyway, let me know what you think. Are you going to join Halo if the hype train comes back? Maybe you'll try to start the hype train yourself. Personally, I might go to one of these local Halo tournaments and just see how many people are there and what is actually going on. Because a Halo tournament in 2025 sounds incredibly interesting to me. Give the video a like if you made it this far. Let me know in the comments if you want to see videos like this in the future. And subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks for watching.